Hello everyone. Happy Sunday. How have all you guys been doing? Yep. So, for today, you will realize that I am alone. So unfortunately, Financial Missy couldn't make it today due to some commitments. But not to worry because she has actually recorded her segment um, for this session. So I'll be sharing her segment with all of you, guys, later in this program. So for today, we are actually going to talk about this stock called Nvidia. So Nvidia has been trending, one of the stocks that have been in the trending stocks recently, and so we decided to actually share more with all you guys because there might be some interest in this stock. Especially he has just reported his earnings. I think 2 days ago. Yep. So and after it released its earnings report, it actually fell for 2 consecutive days on Thursday and Friday, right? So some of you might be interested to know what you should be doing in view of this development, right? So before I move on to my segment, I think it's a good time now to actually broadcast the Financial Missy segment. So let me change screen, and here you go.
Hey guys, hey. So happy Sunday to all of you guys out there. Thank you for tuning in to actually catch us live on Facebook. Financial Missy here, and I need to apologize to you guys for not being able to be here physically to actually dissect this particular stock that we'll be going to share today because I'm actually currently away at a workshop to improve on my communication delivery skills. So I'm still happy to be with you guys here through this recording to actually share with you guys my personal take on how do I feel about this particular stock that we are going to talk about. Yeah. So before I go deep into this particular stock that we're going to share, I would like to actually do a disclaimer to all of you guys out there first. Okay. So it's very important for you guys to actually understand that what we are going to share with you guys on a weekly basis is actually for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes, as well as an advice for your consideration. It's never supposed to be meant as a financial advice because it's very important that you guys actually understand what is your own risk appetite, what is your own strategy, and see whether what we actually share with you guys piece into your puzzle. It's very important for your key to fit your lock. If otherwise, you will never see a good result in your portfolio, right? So please do not take our words for real because we are always wrong. Okay. So without further ado, let me just jump straight into the particular stock that we are going to talk about. Okay. Let me share my screen here. All right. So the particular stock that we are going to talk today is Nvidia. I'm pretty sure that all of you guys out there knows what is Nvidia and what does Nvidia do. All right. So on Friday itself, Nvidia actually closes at $236.42, of which we see a $8.65 decline. Okay, that translates to a decline of 3.53% on Friday itself. Okay. Looking at the broader macroeconomy perspective, we know that Omicron is still lingering at the background, although most of the investors have actually moved on. Okay, rising interest rate fear is something is very real, very recent, and it's something that is happening, even though has been lingering on for the longest time. Okay, from what I understand is that the Senate, the U.S. government actually very narrowly averted a government shutdown on Friday itself because they are unable to reach a resolution. So I'm so glad that they are managed to actually come up with a resolution on how to actually budget the spending such that we don't see more volatility in the market. But nevertheless, market correction and the possible invasion of Russia in Ukraine is something very, very real. Okay. And I don't know whether Russia is really going to invade Ukraine. Is something that I guess none of us can predict, but it's just like, like they're like macam playing jia jia jiu la. So one day they say increase troops, the other day say reduce troops, and then again on Friday it says increase troops. So when is Russia really going to invade Ukraine, or is Russia really going to invade Ukraine in the first place? It's something that we don't want to actually take it so lightly. To understand that if they are going to invade Ukraine, there'll be increased volatility in the market as well. So for investors out there, please do take all these situations in the market into consideration and actually do a proper risk management such that you don't over leverage, you don't over invest your free cash flow, and take on the good opportunity that is yet to come. Okay. So basically, what does Nvidia actually do? Nvidia itself, right, is such a big company, it operates as a visual computing company worldwide that operates in two particular segments, graphic and compute and networking itself. It's actually very prominent in the gaming industry, whereby it helps to build up graphics for the PCs, and also in the streaming for gaming services as well. Its services is something very prominent in the cloud-based visual and visual computing, as well as in the automotive platforms for informative systems, right? Okay. It offers data center platforms and system as well, which is wow. Cloud system, Nvidia in cloud system as well. Wow, really? So we see that the company products, right, are used in gaming, professional visualization, data centers, and automotive markets. It's something very broad that wherever you go, there's no way that you don't see Nvidia's product inside. Wow. And most importantly, you also see that Nvidia has partnership with Google Cloud. Google Cloud. Okay. So when we talk about cloud system, there's actually four the big fours that you guys actually want to actually take note of: Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon. And Nvidia is actually partnering with Google Cloud. That is really amazing. Okay. So they also want to create this AI on 5G lab. Wow. It just shows how much it just shows the direction of Nvidia in the whole technology, in the whole cloud system that is currently I would say it's only at the infant stage. There's so much more to build on. Okay. So of course, that being said, you feel that this is a very good business to actually to look at. There's a lot of potential in this particular business, right? And we also know that this particular company has the headquarter in Santa Clara, which is in California, and the industry sector that is actually based on is on the semiconductors and semiconductor equipment. All right. How's Nvidia doing financially? We look at three different things. Weekly, I've been going through the same thing. So let me just skim through all of it. Look at three different things: income statement, balance sheet, and as well as the cash flow statement. Okay. Year on year, the total revenue, the net income is increasing year on year, which is very awesome. It shows how fundamentally strong this company is. The net profit margin is at the 22.86%. Very strong company. And we look at the balance sheet itself. Current ratio current ratio more than 1. Debt to equity ratio is kept less than 1. Very good. Price to book ratio 22.21. Very expensive, right? Cash flow wise, cash from operation as well as cash from investment has been increasing year on year. It's just only in the cash flow from investment that is actually not profiting yet, but it's all right. Okay, the free cash flow component is very, very healthy. It just shows how much leverage does this particular company have to actually grow in the future or amidst a very volatile environment. Okay, so how is this company doing in terms of valuation? if you look at the screen, the intrinsic value of this particular company is $183, of which the current price of this company is 260-ish. We know that it's currently overvalued, okay? So for investors out there, if you are looking for anything that is undervalued, probably it's not for you. But however, should this company actually, retrace back, is something that you want to consider investing your money in. Okay, so whether it's a good time to actually enter this stock, or if you guys are already in this stock, whether you want to exit this stock, you want to look at the technical analysis for evaluation. Okay, so let me bring you to this enlarged 1 year, 1 day chart. All right. You could see from this chart very clearly that since November, this particular company is actually having a decline in terms of stock price. Although a few weeks back, you probably see a sort of pseudo rebound status of this particular company. But I would say that this particular company currently, in terms of stock prices, is actually on a strong decline. Okay, so for investors out there, I would highly suggest that this is not a time that you want to actually enter this stock to invest your money in. Probably you would like to actually wait till this whole particular saga in the market actually calms down and see a very clear trend of reversal. Why is that so? Very simply, unless you guys are a millionaire, whereby you have so much money to do dollar cost averaging, of which I suppose that most of us has a finite amount of money, it's always good to actually ride on momentums rather than doing dollar cost averaging, because what goes lower can go lower. However, what goes higher has higher potential of going even higher, right? So this is something for all you guys to actually consider. I guess this is the end of my session. I probably want to leave the rest of the time to the trade engineer to actually share with you guys in terms of trading. Is it a good time to actually enter this stock to actually capitalize or take or grab the opportunity in making short-term trade? So I'll see you guys next week. If you guys have any comments or any suggestions for what are the stocks for us to dissect next week, please leave it in the comment section below, and we will review it to see what are we going to help you guys to dissect next week. So till then, adios guys.
All right, thanks, Financial Missy. So as you all have heard, that is Financial Missy segment on Nvidia, right? So now I'll proceed, on my segment, on my take on, what my view of Nvidia would be. Right. But of course, because before I start, as always, I will do a quick analysis of our last week stock analysis. And if you haven't watched our last week video, do catch it in the description box. I actually included the link in the description, so you can always go back and check it out. Yep. So last week we actually shared on this stock called FUTU, right? So just to be kept, right, this was what I shared at that time. Yep, basically, I was saying FUTU was still trending, it's still in a consolidation phase, right? It has to break out of this resistance line, and it's still currently supported by this support line, right? So just to recap, right, some of the things that I mentioned, I think just draw your attention to the part in the box down here, right? So basically, the stock is currently consolidating within that range. That's what I mentioned last week, right? And only to enter the long position when the resistance level is broken. So where have we come from, since then? So here's the chart, right? Here's the FUTU chart. Basically now, the current updated chart. And I think you can see very apparently that it is not much different from what we saw last week, right? So it's still basically still moving within this consolidation phase, right? It's still within this resistance and support line. So I think basically what my analysis last week still stands, right? So it's still trading in this consolidation range, and it might be trading in this range for a very long time, right? You don't know how long it might trade. Some stocks actually trade in this range for years, right? So you don't, if you got money to spare, you don't mind holding your money, for years, by all means, you can, buy a bit of stock. But I'm sure most of us don't want to hold our money up and not making money, right? So what I suggest here is it's still the same as what I suggested last week, which is to only enter right when the resistance level is convincingly broken, which is this level over here. Yep. So till then, just wait for this consolidation phase to be over. Right. So so that's my quick recap on FUTU. So if you like what we have been sharing so far, don't forget to just hit the like button and share this video with some people so that more people can benefit. And please do leave a comment down below as well, so that just know what you think about sharing and what we can improve on in future. Yep. So without further ado, let's go to our stock pick for today. Yep. So as you all know, we are talking about this stock called Nvidia, right? With the ticker symbol NVDA. So just a quick, introduction. Why do we choose this stock, right? So this is basically top 15 trending stocks that was taken, from this site called investing.com, right? So, Nvidia is actually the top 5, right? It's actually the 5th rank trending stock. Yep. So since it's a trending stock, it has garnered a lot of interest. So that's why we decided to choose this stock and break it down for all you guys out there, right? That's one of the reasons. I think another reason is also that it has just released its earnings report, right? So, and it actually fell after it released its earnings report, right? So some of you who have been holding this stock might be wondering, is it time to let go? Or some of you who haven't, or are still looking out for this stock, looking for opportunity to buy this stock, are thinking, is this a time, right? It has dipped, so is it a time to actually go long on this stock? Right, so as what FINANCIALMissy has shared earlier, this is the overall price chart for Nvidia, right? So you can see, it has actually fallen quite a fair bit. That's what FINANCIALMissy mentioned since November, right? So it's actually from a high of like $300+. Yep, it actually fell to about $236 dollars at the last closing price, right? So it seems like there might be an opportunity, right? So let's look at it from a trading point of view. But before I do that, right, let's dissect a little bit on what happened recently, right? So I just like to draw your attention to these last 2 trading days, right? So this was actually on Thursday, it actually announced its results, right? And actually after that, it fell for 2 consecutive days, right? So why? I actually gave the reason. So over here, right, I basically picked out a particular news article from Bloomberg, right, trying to explain, this phenomena, right? So in this article, basically, it said that it actually was underwhelming, right? So actually, what happened is that the results was below the expectations, right? So even though, right, its results beat estimated earnings, it beat the estimates, right? Even then, I think people had very high expectation of this stock, and unfortunately, it fell below the expectations. I think another negative news was also on this abandoned buyout, which set up a lot of hype, yeah, but because it was abandoned, so there was this people start to sell this stock, right? So some details from this article, right? So basically it basically say there is a fail, yeah, as we all know already, yep. And this is actually a share. They mentioned that the share declined the sign of Wall Street's lofty expectations, right? So we actually have this lofty expectation of this stock, so it didn't quite meet the expectation, even though the results was quite good, right? So here they mentioned some weak spots, right, of Nvidia, right? The sales were lower than expected when projected, right? And there are also supply constraints, right? So this, although it's improving, but there is still that lingering concern of supply constraints. And as what I mentioned earlier in the introduction, right? Nvidia is also trying to bounce back from a failed attempt to acquire ARM, right? So this was actually pretty hyped up, and its failure represents, a kind of disappointment, right, for investors who are looking to long Nvidia. So these are, some of the news, that try to attribute why Nvidia has fallen in the past 2 days, right? But what we want to know is what is the future direction on Nvidia, right? So to do that, being the trader myself, I will look at the technicals, and without further ado, let's dive deep down into the price chart. So to do that, let me change screens, right? And let me blow up this screen over here. Right. So over here, right, Nvidia, I have the price chart, and we draw some lines, just to illustrate the technicals behind it, right? So over here, right, let me first introduce the lines. So we have this more long-term downtrend line, right, that has been tested numerous times. In total, I think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in total, right? So this is pretty strong downtrend resistance, right? And you can see that it's still trading below this downtrend trend line, right? So it is still in a long-term downtrend, right? But over here, right, we have this uptrend trend line. It's a shorter term uptrend trend line, and it's been tested, in recent times about 3 times. In the last time, this time, the last trading day of Friday, it was nearly touching, almost touching. Haven't really quite touched it yet, but it's almost touching this uptrend trend line, right? And we have this horizontal line over here that acts as a support, right? So we look back, right, there was previously the resistance level, right? And now it looks like it's going to be the support, right? So I'd like to draw attention here, right? So actually, the uptrend trend line and the support is actually making an intersection, right? So we call this the area of confluence. And if this might be a pretty strong support, since it's both supported by the uptrend trend line as well as the support line. Yeah, but we aren't quite sure whether this area would be supported, right? It seems like it's going to bounce up, from this area, but we never know. We have to see what happens on Monday, right? But at the moment, right, if it manages to bounce up from this area of confluence, it'll be a very positive sign that this stock might be due for a rebound, at least maybe a short-term rebound, right? But of course, you have to bear in mind, right, that the long-term downtrend still remains. It hasn't broken beyond this downtrend trend line. So in my view, right, what I suggest is that if this area of confluence. Sorry, I think I lost connection. Yeah. So if the price measures to be supported by this area of confluence, there might be a short-term rebound towards this downtrend trend line, right? But it might be still resisted by this long-term downtrend trend line, right? So if you are thinking of longing it, I think it might be suitable for a scalp trading, right? For a short scalp trading towards this downtrend trend line. Yep. But once it hit this downtrend trend line, you have to see what happens after that, right? If it breaks beyond this downtrend trend line, then there could be further upside. But if not, it might just fall back down, right? So that's what I think from my point of view. And now let's go back to the slides and do a quick recap of what I've mentioned, right? So, there are both arguments on the bull and bear side, right? So I mentioned the area of confluence where the support line and the uptrend trend line, right, is actually intersecting. So, as of a moment, it looks like it has hit close to that area of confluence, right? So we have to see whether the area remains well supported. If it does, it might be a very strong support. And we saw, oh yes, I forgot to mention that the MACD, right, on the daily chart also looks positive, right? So we go back and we see, yep, here's the MACD, right? So it's still on the positive region. So that's something that is still positive on the bull side of things, right? But on the bear side, right, so there's this long-term trend line that is still being resisted, right? So, as what I mentioned, any rebound might be short-term in nature. And, as what Financial Missy has mentioned in her segment, right, there is still that poor market sentiment overall in the macro economy. So, do watch out for that. Any sudden news in the overall market might actually, cause quite a turbulence in the individual stock. Yep. So, Nvidia would not be spared as well. Yep. So as mentioned, what should you do for trading, right? What I suggest here, right, is to wait and see first. See what happens on Monday, right? See if this stock is actually well supported by the area of confidence that I mentioned, right? If it's well supported and you don't mind trading, right, there could be an opportunity for short-term scalp trading, right? But you have to take, I would suggest that you take the first take profit price at around, the downtrend line resistance level, right? That is like the resistance point. Yep. Of course, if that downtrend line is broken, right, there could be, further upside to this stock, and you can consider, to add more positions then, right? But okay, on the other hand, right, it might turn sour. So that area of confluence fear to act as support. We got to wait again. Yep, wait for next support level before we think of longing this stock again. Yep. So this is what I suggest. But of course, as what we always mention, please do your own due diligence, right? The market is very volatile recently, so we have to be very conscious and mindful, right? And make sure that we don't overtrade or overinvest, right? Yep. So just to know some reminders as always, right? So if you like our sharing, right, don't forget to like and share this video. Yep. So that more people can benefit, right? The algorithm would be able to register that this is a popular video, and then more people will be able to benefit from our sharing. Yep. And do follow us on our social media pages, right? So I have my 3 social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Financial Missy has hers, right, on her Facebook page and Instagram, right? And do comment, on down below what you think of our sharing so far, and suggest the next stock for next sharing, right? So like FUTU or a stock that was suggested by one of you. So if you have some burning stock you want us to break down, just leave it down in the comments, and we would share it, in the next session. Yep. So as you all know, right, our session is every Sunday at 4 p.m. So today, because it's supposed to be on Financial Missy's page, but because she is unavailable, so it's on my page. But if she's available next week, it'll be back to on her page, right? So it'll be either our page, my page, or her page, right? So let's do look out for the video on Sunday. Yeah, and last but not least, right, I just like to highlight to all of you that I also have another live stream coming up later tonight, right? I'll be breaking down cryptocurrency on the Binance SG investor group, right? So I'll be sharing on a particular coin, right, that has actually gained 160, rather 16,000%, right? And break it down to see there's further upside to this coin, and also give my outlook, my view on what's the future of Bitcoin, right? What will Bitcoin be going forward? What's the price action like? So if you are interested to find out the answers to all this, do find time later to tune in at 9:30 p.m. Yep. It'll be on the Binance SG investor group. So I actually posted the link in my Facebook page. Yep. So you can check it out if you are free, right? If not, you can always catch the replay. There will be a replay of that video. Yep. And I think that is all I have to share for today. Yep. So as always, do your own due diligence. Make sure you safeguard your profits, right? And we'll see you again next Sunday at 4 p.m. for our next stock sharing. Yep. Until then, adios, everyone. Take care and have a great week ahead. Bye, guys.